In this video, you will see how to assemble the base for the hydraulic robot arm. You will also get the necessary steps you need to start the project. First, let's look at some of the designs that you'll be cutting out. The project has been broken up into three parts, A, B, and C, for the base, arm, and claw. Notice, every single component has a letter and a number. These all have A, and then a following number. Here, you'll see some lines noted on components for joints. Do not cut these lines. If you look at this component, you'll see another joint line. And then there are some other lines noted. These should be cut, and it'll be noted in the video which lines should be cut. This hole here will have a bolt through it. This line here is just marking the diameter. Looking at some more components, you'll see this one is cut off. It should actually be 1 inch by 12 inches, as noted here. Since the paper is 8.5 by 11, it had to be cut off. Here's some more components. These black dots here will soon be holes where roofing nails go through. Don't worry about these until later, but mark them on your components. And here's our last sheet. You should be familiar with all of the signs on the components. These are the roofing nails you will use for most of the joints. You'll see that the roofing nail consists of two components. You have the washer and you have the nail. Now for most joints, we'll be using a washer, a nail, and a washer from another nail. So you'll need 2 nails technically for every joint. It will be assembled something like this. Now let's take a look at the syringes. You'll be using 20 milliliter syringes and 30 milliliter syringes. Do not confuse these because they have different sizes. So we're going to start off with our baseboard, which is labeled A1. Set this down. Now we're going to get out components A7, A8, A9, and A10. These are going to be pads that go on the bottom of the baseboard so that the baseboard can be stable when you assemble your entire hydraulic arm. So just put a little bit of hot glue on each one and put them in the corner. You don't have to be too accurate with this, but if you'd like, make the sides of the rectangles flush with the sides of the baseboard. Now you're going to need A1 again, and you'll need A2, and you're going to connect it to this line, and it'll be a simple joint. So you'll put the piece down perpendicular to the baseboard, and you will put hot glue on that end that I just noted, and then you'll reinforce the other edges with glue, making sure it is perpendicular to the baseboard. For this next assembly, you'll need A3, A4, A5, and A6. These pieces are going to hold the syringe in place along with A2. So let's fit them together and make sure the bottoms are flush. And now we're going to fit the syringe in between the two pieces. These will hold it stable while we're using the hydraulic robot arm. Now squeeze it tight and get everything aligned. And now, get an idea of where you're going to glue it down on the board. The lines that are drawn there are for guidance, but it will not exactly line up. Now, take some hot glue and tack those pieces in place.
Next, we're going to use A13 and A14. Take A13 and a nail, and you're going to drive a hole through the X on the piece. If your X isn't exactly centered, just find the center point and drive the nail through. Now take A14 and align it with A13. Try to line up the lines that will be cut out or made into joints. Once aligned, you're going to take your nail and drive it through the hole of A13. Now we're going to take our bolt and work it through the hole that we made in A13. This may take a while. For the next part, take note of the slits that we cut out of A13. So now take A13 and take note of the slits we made. We're going to use A21, A22, A23, and A24. And these are going to go in the slits that we made earlier. These large slits will be for two different pieces, A15 and A16. To show you how we will connect one of these small rectangles with A13, you just drive the top into a slit, trying to make the top of the rectangle flush with the circle. Give it a little bit of hot glue to hold it in place, and then make sure the alignment still holds, because you want it to be perpendicular to the circle. And then just reinforce the edges as you see need. Now we're going to take A15 and A16 and align them in A13. Just put them through the slits and make sure they are perpendicular to A13. Once the alignment is right, we're just going to glue them in place and add glue to the top and bottom joints as you see necessary. And you're going to put glue on all the components you just added. These surfaces that you are gluing are going to go on the surface of A14. Your markers for guidance are the two long joints that will connect to A15 and A16. Now it's more important to line up the circles than it is to line up the lines to A15 and A16. So work your hands around A13 and A14 to get exact alignment. Push in A15 and A16 again so that they can be perfectly perpendicular to your pieces, and you should be ready to go. Now drive your bolt through just to make sure you have that perfect alignment. A19 and A20. These pieces are going to go in between A16 and A15, and they'll be used to hold the syringe. Begin by sandwiching A18 and A17, and then take one of the 20 milliliter syringes, line it up like we did before, once you have the alignment you like, just add some hot glue to the sides of these two pieces and either attach A19 or A20. Made with the rest of the base that we're working on. Insert the piece we just made and make sure the piece of A20 and A19 are touching the edges of A16 and A15. Of this component should be about half the height of A16 or A15. And a syringe. Make sure it fits nice and snug. And align the syringe with the syringe holder and check out your alignment. Everything looks good. Once you're satisfied, you can glue things into place. Now is the time to connect your baseboard with the rest of the base that you just created with a bolt. Here's the configuration of A11 and A12. We're going to remove them and try adjusting our base. Now we're going to align them so we can see where we're going to put our joints. Try extending the plunger on the syringe all the way and then lining up A21 with A11. Through A13, like shown in the video. Now we're going to bring back A11 and figure out the best place to drive our next roofing nail through A11 and A12. Check the motion that it'll undergo with your plunger. Here's what your base should look like when you're completely finished.